Phantom Menace is really the first time we've been able to create photorealistic characters that do act, that are completely created digitally.
The difficult thing is creating a performance from a wireframe model on a computer. A performance that is as rich and as human and has got all the humor of any other character that we have in the movie.
Watto is a cranky, second-rate car dealer peddling space junk on an outer rim planet.
He's a slave owner. It was a part of his culture, so that doesn't necessarily make him out-and-out evil. But at the same time, you know, he values some life, especially human life, pretty cheap. But here's Anakin, and he's not a totally downtrodden little kid, so we know that there has to be a spirit of some sort of goodness in this creature. Originally, Doug had done this quite scary painting of a dark-looking creature with a large proboscis on the front, and he was exactly what they were using for the Neimoidians at the beginning, and then slowly the Neimoidians became these long, dog-faced creatures that gave rise to the battle droids. And then when we were looking around for Watto, George had pointed at that and said, something like this.
He basically said Watto should look like this portrait. I want him on a really fat body, put on really tiny wings, and add duck feet.
After that, in the spirit of brainstorming, we opened the doors. Any idea went for a little while. And eventually came full circle right back to our original dark Neimoidian.
Watto was designed without pants.
It's just a...
And that was kind of my oversight in thinking that Watto was like Donald Duck, where you really don't worry about Donald Duck's lack of pants.
Do you like the costume he's wearing? Or do you want Ian and Tricia to rework it?
I like the costume he's wearing.
Okay.
It's provocative.
Okay. Because Island's well on its way, and I just want to get him going on that. If you're okay with
Naked.
Unfortunately, because he was going to be playing a central role and because he was going to be hovering at eye height, it was going to become pretty apparent that he wasn't wearing anything from the waist down.
Let's look here and see what we see. I don't know whether we can buy that. Sort of like Donald Duck. Yeah, let's put some pants on him.
Okay.
In the interest of being appropriate.
Watto was the first character we started to animate because he was the most interesting cameo character in the script. He was a character that was in something like 50 shots in the movie, not very much compared to, you know, Jar Jar and the others. But he had such wonderful attitude. It was clearly not somebody in a suit. There's no way you could have jammed someone in there. When I first saw it, he had tusks on both sides of his face and his nose in the middle, and yet he doesn't ever stop talking. And I was trying to figure out, well, how can we get this character to really be believable, that that voice that they recorded is coming out of that face?
It makes for a very appealing image, but when you actually go to implement it and try to animate it, it makes it very hard to try to form vowels and syllables with, you know, without having the lips being able to go over the teeth.
We realized that, well, if we just chip away a couple teeth off one side, then we can actually come up with a bunch of extra attitudes. So the character can actually talk out of one side of his mouth and squint up the other eye, and I rolled that into his whole personality.
The boy's good, no doubts there, huh?
In some ways, the solution actually became a far stronger concept.
I supply the boy.
Oh, this one. I love this one. This is I love all that facial stuff. The animators that were working with me instantly had an affection for him when we heard the dialogue, when we heard what the voice actor brought to the character.
He always wins. I'm betting heavily on the Sebulba.
Here was this great accent coming out of this fantastic face.
He always wins. I'm betting heavily on the Sebulba.
So you get really an amalgamation of 2 or 3 personalities in an animated character, and they're all working toward the same character portrayal. I mean, even the ones where we don't have the person in the suit actually there, like Watto, I'll have the actor there saying the lines. It's a team effort. It's a partnership between a group of people.
We had many discussions about how big his wings should be and would Watto really fly.
We knew when we started Watto that the wings technically probably couldn't lift him up, couldn't make him fly. But we were reminded of the fact that a bumblebee technically is not able to fly either with its wings, if you look at it mathematically, apparently. And we concentrated on making sure there's a lot of follow-through, meaning his legs swung underneath him, his belly moved as he flew, and when he stopped there was follow-through of the rest of his body, so that you had a sensation that it was being hung by his shoulders, that the wings were supporting him at the shoulder level.
No deal. And no one else has a T-14 hyperdrive, I promise you that.
The computer animation that's really advanced in the last little while is our ability to deal with the soft tissue. Watto's got a sort of a double chin, much like myself, and we added shapes to actually loosen up all that skin, so then when he'd shake his face or he'd talk, you could feel the looseness and the fattiness in his tissue. And I think that sophistication in terms of what we can bring to the character brings that extra level of realism.
It's one thing to really draw something on paper and try to visualize it in motion, but it's a completely different issue when you see it on screen with sound and color and texture and animation. To see one of the characters that I've worked on and designed come to life is one of the most incredible experiences.
Watto became this rich character. I really hope we get to see him again.
Deal.